Alright, so we're gonna do some racing here, Fast and the Furious style. We got two working Gokart Pros going on here. There we go. Let me get a better angle right there. Both of them got a GoPro Heroes 360 cameras on the front, so you get some footage. And then we got GoPro on a tripod, and lastly we got the Mavic Mini to capture overhead. Anyway, it's gonna be fun. Check it out. DoorDash delivery. This is the review, the final review. I know we posted a lot of impressions and everything like that, but I've had a lot of time to mess around with these things, and as you saw in the intro, we really pushed these things to the limit and really just had fun with them, right? And so I feel like I have a good opinion about these. So for those of you that don't know, these were purchased off of Indiegogo, right? It was a GoFundMe or one of those startup things. So each go-kart was roughly about $1,500. Now you can buy these off of the Ninebot website. However, they are about $2,000 a piece. So the Gokart Pro system consists of the frame, and then you have the S Max, right? Currently, Ninebot is actually doing another Indiegogo just for the S Max. So first thing first, everybody's going to ask this. I know they're going to say, is it worth it, right? Are these go-karts worth it? Well, are you worth it? No, I'm just kidding. It's really a matter of opinion, right? It's hard for me to say. All I can tell you is that when we ride, and me and Jason were racing, you saw the intro, you hear a lot of woo-wee. A lot of that, right? Grown men screaming and laughing and stuff like that. So that's what it does to you, right? So is that worth $1,500, or if you bought the retail version for $2,000? I don't know, right? All I can say is had a lot of fun. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the design. So for those of you that don't know, this is the second go-kart system that Ninebot has made. The first one was, they just call it the regular go-kart, not the Pro version. It was a white version. And so this is the second version of that, where they've taken all the criticism and all the things and re-engineered it to make it the Pro version. So first off, once you just look at it, you notice the aesthetic is different, right? It has this gunmetal gray look as opposed to that that white. They made some other refinements besides that. They added this cool wing, which is more aesthetic. I don't want to say it really doesn't do anything because you don't go fast enough in order to take advantage of it, but it does look cool. And that's honestly, that's what really matters, right? As long as you look cool. Besides the aesthetic though, they've changed things on the frame. So one of the things they did right here is get out of this thing, is the frame. So they improved on the framing of it. So it's a steel frame now, so it's more rigid, and it's especially in terms of when you're turning, and you could feel that torque or that bending. Also, if in the event, if you ever did have an unfortunate crash, they really re-engineered the front, right? So they have this rubber lip with this steel frame on the front to kind of help against accidents if you ever unfortunately should have one. The big thing that Ninebot did was that they re-engineered the motors in the S-Max, right? So right now, these motors are capable of a maximum speed of roughly about 23 miles per hour and an acceleration of 1.02 Gs, right? So top speed is not crazy impressive. If you ever look in like high performance go-karts, they go a lot faster. However, this is electric, right? These aren't gas. And so but the acceleration is phenomenal. You will feel that push back when you press on the accelerator on this thing, right? So it's a very welcomed addition to the Ninebot Gokart Pro. Ninebot really focused on the experience. So it wasn't just about speed, but they really wanted to get that drifting, the sensation of sliding around corners and stuff like that. As you've seen in our video, me and Jason just went at it, wanted to just burn some rubber, and literally it does, right? So what Ninebot did is that you have these slick tires in the front, but especially in the rear, right? So the rear, they're what they call them non-pneumatic, right? So there's no air in here, right? These are just solid rubber, right? If you look at the tread of the tires, you'll notice it's a smooth surface, right? And that's done intentionally. This is so you will be able to slide around the corners rather easily, right? And also, being a rear-wheel drive, it's very easy to fishtail on this thing, even on accident, right? So because you have a 40-60 split, 40% of the weight in the front, 60% of the weight in the rear. Another thing to note while driving is that these tires will wear out rather fast. Because of the nature of the drifting experience, the rubber tends to go by pretty quickly. And obviously it depends on how hard you drive. For me, I like to have fun, and we like to race it hard. And so after about 3 months now, we're coming up on a replacement for my oldest one. This one's still doing okay, but the other one that I have is right about due. These tires aren't relatively, I wouldn't say they're cheap. They're not too expensive, but they're not that easy to find. I've been able to find a guy on eBay, and he sells them for about $55 a piece for the rear. And I'm still trying to find a person that's selling the front ones, but the rears are more important in the meantime. So depending on how you drive, they could go by pretty quickly. In order to facilitate that drifting, that fun experience, along with the slick tires, is that you have a handbrake right here, which locks up both rear tires, which it engages that drifting experience because the rear tires are locked up. But also the other way you can do it is by simply oversteering as you go hard into a turn, because the tires are slick. So, something to note while driving the Gokart Pro is that depending on how hard you drive it. Now, if you're just kind of moderately driving it, having a good time, just kind of keeping a constant speed, it's going to last a pretty decent long time. However, if you decide to go hard like I like to go, it's probably going to last somewhere between like 40 minutes to an hour, depending on it. That intro that we put on, you see in the previous version of this video, took us about an hour or so to kind of make that. So we were kind of doing a lot of hard going and stopping and stuff like that. So at the end of that, our batteries were pretty much dead. So keep that in mind. These batteries will charge takes about 4 to 5 hours on the standard charger. However, Ninebot has, before the early adopters that did the Indiegogo, said they were going to send the fast chargers, which I believe is going to charge somewhere between roughly an hour from 0. So that's supposed to be coming in the next few weeks or so. Upon testing this out, like I said, I go pretty hard with this. I go full speed into turns, just really testing how these things feel and how hard you can push it before you encounter like a safety issue. Because eventually my kids are going to use this, and I want to make sure it's safe for them. So I want to say this, I feel the design is safe, but it really depends upon the driver, right? Because these things can collapse, right? So they collapse down to a small size for traveling purposes, but they also expand quite long for a person of higher height than me. I'm 5'8", 5'7", and so at this, the medium setting works just for me. So with that being said, depending on your weight and how far you extend this, there is a chance when you go into a hard turn, and I experienced this once when I extended it fully, that it can like tip over, right? So this is something you have to keep in mind. I found once I brought it back into the medium height, I only did it that long lengthways because I was carrying like my son and he wanted to ride, but I forgot to collapse it back down to where I'm comfortable driving when I drive it hard. And I forgot, and I left it the longest length, and it almost like pulled over to the point where I was in it, and I had to put the right foot out. I'm like, oh my God, right? So I want to throw that out there because I don't feel it's a design problem that Ninebot did. I think they did a great job, but however, you're accommodating all these different drivers of different heights and different weights, and that makes a big difference in terms of when you go hard into a turn. So when this thing collapses, it collapses as like a really tight size, right? So when they have the S-Max into the rear, it's pretty small. My brother said it almost, when I sent him a picture of what this looked like, he said this looks like mini Batmobile, right? From like the Dark Knight, you know, the Nolan movies, right? And I can definitely see that aesthetic, right? It looks like Tumbler-esque. So even though it's pretty tiny though, it is relatively heavy. And with the S-Max connected to it, I cannot lift this into the rear of my car with that. So one user asked, like, how do you put this in your car? So my response is, if you have two people, it's easy to do. You just have one person carry it from the rear, one person carry it from the front. You lift up and you put it in there. However, if you're by yourself, you're not going to be able to do that, right? All that weight is going to put a strain on your back, and you're probably going to hurt yourself. So what I do is I detach the S-Max from the rear, so you just kind of take it out, take it right there, attach that, and I collapse this down, and then this part right here, I just bring it in to the car, and no problem, right? Take out the S-Max with the mounting plate right here, and I usually take this part right here, and you can kind of leave in the cable if you want. Sometimes I take it off just because I don't want to get damaged, but for now I'll just leave it right here. And then I stow it below without the S-Max. So what I do is I kind of grab it right here, and then I hold it by the steering wheel. So I lift it like this, put it kind of against my chest. You see this right here? And then I hold it by the steering wheel, and then I lift up right there. It's pretty easy, right? But with the S-Max, there's no way you can do it. And then I kind of just bring it over, let the front wheels on, put it into the car, and then just kind of roll it in. Anyway, but I did have an issue at the very beginning. So I got two. One was delivered at the end of November, and one was delivered in January. So to test the theory that the battery was the issue, what I did was, this is the good one, this was the bad one. So it's an easy thing. You just remove the batteries. These Allen keys are here, and I pulled out this battery, put it into this one, swapped out this one, and put it to this one. This battery right here on the bad one works just fine. It powered the good S-Max, no problem. I put this battery right here, which is functional, onto this one. However, it's still the same result, right? This one's still would not power up. So my theory, so obviously that concludes the issue is not the battery, right? The issue is the S-Max itself. In particular, I feel there's something wrong with the right motor right here. I've made this comment to Segway technical support already, and I said, hey, I don't think this is the problem. However, they kept saying I was going to send a battery. So I'm going to demonstrate this, okay? Look at the wheel, okay? So this is the right wheel on the good one, right? I'm going to spin it. It spins freely, right? As I hold it, no problems. See that? This is the bad one. Look, I try to spin it. It won't, it locks up. You can go very slowly, but as soon as I start to add some speed to it, it locks up in either direction. Once I encountered that issue with the S-Max, I sent an email to Ninebot, and they were able to get in response to me, and we had a correspondence over a period of weeks. And I sent them a video showing the issues that we had. And after that video, like I just showed, they agreed, and they just sent me an S-Max replacement, and I just got it about a week ago, and I'm very pleased. So in conclusion, these are great recreational things for your family and friends. They are a little bit expensive, relatively speaking, especially now with everything these days. However, if you do have the money and you're looking to have something fun with your family that can also be used, not just the go-kart, but I said you can also use the S-Max, right, which is an entire thing in itself. It has a good value in it too. They're not too obtrusive, where like loud go-karts, stuff like that, where they make a lot of noise, since these are electric, right? So you can use these in areas and not be an annoyance to people. And aesthetically, I just think they look really cool. So anyway, that's our final review on the Ninebot Gokart Pro. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. If you like this video and videos like it from 1015 Studios, please consider subscribing to that if you've hung around this video and watched to the end. Thanks for watching. This is Jimmy from 1015 Studios. Take care and God bless.